What's up? Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the live. Let's get to work. DH, Chris, good morning. Nee, Derek, Scott. How we doing, guys? How we doing? As all the regulars come on in here, let's start looking for setups. We are 18 seconds out. Let's see what we end up getting here if we end up having to put something on basically right off the bat. Let's see here. I have to get a stop limit cell ready just in case. Just in case we get a good setup here. That's a 15-second setup. I'm not going to give that 30 because of the risk of this. But do have to put that on. If we get a fill, 7 seconds. If no fill, then we've got to pull it. No trade, next bar, minute 40 out. Vanny, Stevo, ABB, how we doing, guys? Javaz, Michael, good to see you. Good to see everybody this morning. How are you guys doing so far today? All right, minute 10 out here. Now, me personally, since about 9:10, 9:15 Central, I'm not interested in getting long unless we get some strong consecutive bull bars. So, for me right now, it's basically any excuse to get short, and we will, for a scalp. Okay, so we're 45 seconds out. Let's see how this bar ends up closing up. If the bulls do close it nice and high, we might have something on our hands that we have to put on. Hey, Chris K, good to see you. Chris H, man, are we adding more Chris's to the chat or what? I know we're up to what, maybe 10, 15? 10, 15 Chris's? Hey, Borneo, how we doing? All right, guys, let's engage the copier and see how this bull bar closes up. And I will. I'll have to get short there. And I am going to only keep the risk. Boom, there. Widen that out a little bit. ATR currently at 24 here on the 2-minute chart, so we're keeping that in mind here. Volatility's up a little bit today. So each trade, each loser, each winner is likely to be a little bit bigger than what was yesterday. Same time of day. Yesterday, ATR was maybe, 10, 15. This time of day, here we're damn near 25. So we got to keep that in mind here. Let's see if the bears can pull this back in here. And take it bar by bar. Minute 17 left on this 2-minute bar. Again, for those of you guys, if anyone here is new already on the stream here, right after we go live, trading off a 2-minute chart. All right, 50 seconds out. Quite the battle here. Here comes the rollover on the 2-minute. Doji. Very small 2-minute bar there. Interesting. All right, next bar here again. Taking it bar by bar. ATR for those curious. Again, sitting at 22, 22 and a half-ish. There you go, Bears. Suck it back in, take it down toward the lows. I don't need it to go that far. ATR about 23. Right there, about half an ATR flashed. Half an ATR is alright. When volatility's up a little bit like this, I would prefer to get maybe 3/4 of an ATR. It's kind of a, not a minimum necessarily. I mean, my minimum's going to be probably half an ATR here today. But there's plenty of room here. Plenty of room before the that recent low. So maybe look to get 3/4 of an ATR. There you go, bears. Take it lower. Take it lower. Here comes the rollover, by the way. 5 seconds out. All right. Kind of an inside close there out of the bears. Not the greatest close we'd like to see, but we'll take it. Again, bar by bar here. Minute 50 out. There we go, bears. Curl it. Now, if the bears, if the bulls can just let up here for a sec, quite the battle here to kick off the day. And the bears can take out just this wick low. That should push us at least to our 3/4 of an ATR. But listen, it ain't over till it's over. ATR dipping a little, down just below 22 now. As these last 3 2-minute bars lock in. There you go, bears. There's my 3/4 of an ATR. Beauty. All right, let's move on. Next trade here, minute 17 out. All right, getting a bit of a sideways range, and we got to keep an eye on this. This is interesting. It's tight, man. That's not going to hold up. In the volatility environment we're currently seeing here today, it's elevated. I mean, ATR is damn near 23 this time of day. That's very good to see here on the 2-minute chart. A 11-point range. I mean, if we wanted to be a little bit generous, we could call it maybe a 20-point range. It's just not going to hold up. But we got to wait for it to break and do something definitive, whether that's a single bear bar closing convincingly near the low, or 2 consecutive bull bars. But again, I got to tell you, any excuse to get short is my mentality here right now. Man, for me to take the Bulls' side here, they really got to be convincing. I need consecutive, ideally 3, but 2 if they're strong enough. Growing bull bars closing near the high, near their high, right? The bar's high. For me to even be semi-convinced to get long. All right, 60 seconds out. See if this bar closes inside, staying in the range, or if we get some kind of definitive move here. Bull's trying to take it back into a bull bar, man. I don't know. These little flat top, flat bottom ranges really like to tempt fate. And eventually, if this breaks to the upside, it wouldn't surprise me to see a bit of a push, maybe 10, 20 points. But still, even that being the case, unless it was incredibly convincing, maybe retaking these wicks here, this little flat back here, I wouldn't be able to get long on it. So where does that leave me? If we're doing anything, any excuse to get short. And here it's happening right now. See this? There we go, right? Minute 35 out. Let's see how this 2-minute bar closes up if it remains a bull bar here. ATR holding in the 20s, still 22. The longer ATR here on the 2-minute, just for reference, can hold above 20. Today, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled, man. An ATR above 20 on the 2 this time of day is fantastic. We will take it. But if you're somebody who trades big, tisk tisk. If you're trading big, you might want to size down when volatility's up a little bit. But we're trading small. At least initial sizing is small. In each account, because around here we scale horizontally. I think it's the way to do it, in my opinion, as far as prop trading. All right, 13 seconds out. Let's see how this closes. Yeah, kind of a wick back. There's nothing on that bar, is there? Nothing for me, at least. A lot of people would call that a gravestone doji. So next bar here, minute 55 out. All right. Wedge? Wedge? Yeah, maybe. Something that I do that maybe a lot of you guys would benefit from is right off in the corner. You see me looking at the corner of my top monitor. It's very small. I keep a very small corner of the 2-minute chart that only shows 3 2-minute bars. Now, I kind of had that pulled up on accident once, and I left it because I realized, and the 3 2-minute bars was just coincidental. But what I realized is I had it pulled up for another look at ATR, and then I realized that it's showing only 3 2-minute bars, and it actually was very useful. I caught myself looking at it a lot because it keeps you contextual. When you see the look of only, we're scalping, right? We're not really swing trading, at least not right now, not today. When you're looking at the big picture chart, like what you see on screen, sometimes you get so focused on an idea that you lose sight of what's actually going on in the last 3 bars. Now, it's not that looking at that is always going to change my mind about something, but every once in a while I do catch myself thinking of an idea, and then I look at that and I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is what's happening in the last 5-6 minutes. I gotta hold off. It just keeps it contextual. So hey, you know, if you're striving to be a scalper, maybe that'll help you out. Something I stumbled upon accidentally. Helps you not fight things as much. But in this case, we do have to look at this wedge. 40 seconds out here, dual rollover on the 5 and the 2. Those of you guys watching a 5-minute chart, this is a 2-minute chart, but those of you guys watching a 5-minute chart, these are weak, but 4 consecutive bars, 3 of them bull, 1 of them a doji on the 5-minute. We have not seen that all day today. Yeah. Closing right at the previous bar's wick high. So we'll give this one more 2-minute bar. I want a little bit more information here. Again, if I'm going to get long, these bulls better prove it to me. Aside from that, man, it's any excuse to get short. All right. 20 seconds out here. All right, Bears. Hold on, Bears. But if we get this nice bear bar closing near the low, should already know what my plan is, right? Got a stop limit sell ready to rock. Let's see here. Let's see what we get. Boom, plant that. If I can. Just a little bit. Beautiful. And we'll give that maybe 20, 5, 30 seconds. Maybe not quite 30. If we can get a fill, great. If not, too slow of a resolution, we'll move on. 15 more seconds here. I'm sorry, 5 more seconds. We got to fill anyway. Good. Just gonna risk this. Boom. Keep it tight. I want to backfill that wedge quickly, and if it doesn't, take our ball, go home. ATR about 20, 20 and a half. Keep it contextual. Come on now, Bears. Let it up, Bulls. You know it's not happening yet. Not yet, man. There you go, Bears. Now, are we entering a trading range rather than a continued, you know, soft bear trend? Soft bear channel, maybe we'll say? Yeah, maybe. Maybe we're entering a trading range. But even that being the case, we're still in the top third of the range here. So, it's all right. At least of what likely ends up being the range. Unless this range tightens up, and we're sitting at the very bottom of it right now. In which case, we'll get stopped and move on regardless. Minute 15 out here. Risk here, likely just managed by the computer. Not a lot of bar-by-bar managing since we're keeping it so tight on this trade. Not that I necessarily want to keep things so tight. I think trading like scared is a big mistake a lot of people make. They want to risk 4 points on NQ, which is absurd. And just trading scared. But here, you know, it doesn't make sense for me to risk too much more for the structure of this trade. All right. All right, Bears, time to backfill this wedge and form maybe a sideways trading range. I'm cool with that. That'll take us out at profit. But also, you know, what I was talking about earlier. Does this end up being a thing? Maybe. Maybe. Stop at 576 if the Bulls take over this wick high. Move on to the next idea. And they're going to do it. It's pretty impressive out of the Bulls. All right, next trade here. Minute 15 out. And let's clean this up, because this is changing. I am going to leave this, though. There. Okay, 60 seconds. Now, I'm thinking about this. And I gotta tell you, I'm not convinced enough to get long until we have, I would say, 3 consecutive bull bars, at least 2 of which are growing, sizable, and closing near the high. Otherwise, bulls, I'm sorry, I just can't do it yet. That's all right, because if it goes, you'll make money and it'll leave without me. That's fine. 30 seconds out. All right, 90 seconds here. There's going to be a dual rollover on both the 5 and the 2, by the way. This would be the first bull bar on the 5, not consecutive, but part of that bigger sequence we were talking about earlier. I would need to see a sizable bull bar on the 2 minute to be convinced to get long here. Just the one here in this big overarching soft bear channel. It's not enough, at least for me. Maybe for you it is. But for me, not quite. All right. Small bear body. Next bar here, minute 55 out. All right, guys, bottom of the hour. Let's check in with chat here. If you have a question, drop it. Ian, what's up, brother? How we doing? All right, we are 57 seconds out here. Daniel, why do you use 2 minute candles instead of 1, 3, or second charts? All your backtesting shows 2 minute bars are most EV positive. Daniel, I prefer to forward test. Backtesting is useful, but in the real world, forward testing always wins. 35 seconds out, by the way. No, the 2 minute is just the best balance for me. I can't even say the best. It's just a good balance for me as far as quality of setups and quantity of setups. The quality of your setup, at least if you're trading price action, is probably going to be a little bit higher on average on maybe the 5 minute, the 15, the hourly, the daily, right? But scalping is a game of bigger sample size. And on the 5 minute, the setups are, maybe you don't get enough for scalping to be effective as it can be on a lower time frame chart, even if you trade off a little bit of edge. for those more setups, right? Because now the problem is when you go from the 2 to maybe a 15-second chart, the problem is not necessarily quality, though quality definitely falls on average. You can still have edge on a 15-second chart. The problem is trading a 15-second chart for hours, your decision-making goes out the window after 20 minutes. Because it's so fast that you're just jumbled. You end up missing things. That's why, Daniel. The 2 minute, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, they're all fine. It's just, hey, what balance do you like? And how long do you trade each day? And how long can you focus on a single chart? And still make good decisions without slipping. All right, minute 3 out here. Let's see what we get. Come on, market. Don't give us these dojis back to back to back to back. You're going to kill off the ATR. ATR dipping beneath 20. We're at 18 now on the ATR. Let's just get rid of this. Clean up as we go. 10 seconds here till the rollover of this 2-minute bar. Keep an eye on that little flat top right ahead of 23.6, which can actually be a thing that we can potentially look to use here if the bulls put something together. Okay, good, good. See how this closes up. Minute 39 out. Gotta keep an eye on this. With these soft little bull bounces, these little channels, they form all the time. We've already had multiple here today. in overarching bear channels. Now, eventually, typically, the market being more range bound lately, what we've been seeing is eventually one of these catches and gains some traction and holds up, maybe pushes it back toward the 50% retracement point. Of course, until that happens, I tend to not be too much of a... I try to not fall for it too much if we get good setups back toward the downside. Let's see if we do here. Nothing so far. Kind of a big wick. Pretty sizable wick backside there. Next bar here, minute 57 out. ATR dipping back a little bit. We're at about 17 now. But hey, I'll take 17 over 7. Comes the roll over here on the 2-minute. Very small bear body, inside close, next bar. Minute 50 out. All right, 15 seconds out here. This bar is currently essentially a doji. A lot can change in the last 10 seconds. Let's see. Inside close, doji, hands off. No trade, next bar, 2 minutes. couple of flats here. I mean, you could kind of call this the same one. But they are about 10 points apart. All right, 20 seconds out. Not gonna be able to use it, are we? All right, big ol' indecisive, inside close. Next bar, minute 55. All right, now in situations like this, I tend to go with the wider range, so that would be the wedge. I'm sorry, the channel. Okay, so let's clean this up. We know that those two things are there. And the reason I say that is because if we got a bull close above this wick high, you know, do I really want to face off with this? Yeah, I would. I would. Not going to get it. Inside close. You know, discipline, guys, is not just about cutting your losses. It's obviously a big part of it, but it's also about not putting the trade on when it's not quite there. Ah, but it's really close. Yeah, but it's not there. And then when a trade is there and you're like, I don't know, man, I've lost the last 2 in a row. Feels like it's going to be a loser. What does that mean? That's a fallacy. Discipline is cutting losers when you say you're going to, waiting to take profit until you say you're going to, not putting the trade on when you really want to, but it's not quite there, and putting the trade on when you're scared to do it because it's there. All right, 1 minute out. I'm gonna place a limit buy just below. Just see if we can get a dip to fill me. Yeah, we'll pull it, not getting it. All right, another Gravestone Doji close. Nothing to do on that bar. This'll pick a direction and go, and then we'll have plenty to choose from. Hang in there. All right, I've got my eye on that where my cursor is. Those wick lows. This would be a first in about an hour. If we could get it closed beneath those wick lows. I don't want it to be like a tick or two. I'm looking for a little more than that. And on top of that, I would like to enter with a stop limit sell, not a limit sell. There we go. Let's get it ready. Beautiful placement. Okay. Let's give that one 30 total seconds. So 22 seconds from here. See if we can get a fill. And we did, and I will risk the signal bar. If we don't break out, then we're heading right back into the range, and I'd like to know that and just be done. All right, let's see if we can get a bear push down through. Obviously, that requires a little bit of follow through, which is why I enter with a stop limit sell instead of just a limit sell. Or a market sell, for that matter. But this right here, we could be looking at a range. That'd be about 40 points wide, if that turns out to be a range. Halfway through this 2-minute bar, we've got 2 minutes left on a 5-minute bar. ATR 17. See if the bears can kind of solidify the snap up of this little sideways range. Yeah, we're looking at a couple scenarios. Either this ends up being the range, about 590 down to 550, or we backfill in 590 down to maybe 530, 510-ish. Becomes more of the range, or we, enter right back into that overarching soft bear channel. I'm not going to call it a bear trend. We'll call it a soft bear channel. Though, there was a bit of a short-lived bear trend in there from about 9 to 10 central. Now again, could you suck this up and risk basically the whole channel? Yeah, but then you'd say, oh yeah, well, if we go, a tick past, but still respect the channel, I should probably risk this. You can play that game forever. You go up to the ear, up to here. So, yeah, no, I mean, on this trade, I'm looking for a pretty good reward to risk, especially if it's a sizable push downside. We do have that low. We could think about hunting stops, though. I certainly don't need it to go that far. But I want to be involved. The bears end up saying, yeah, channel's not this tight, it's a bit wider. All right, bears, come on in, save this volatility for us. ATR falling, it's now beneath 16, 15.99 on the ATR. We were just at 24. Well, about an hour ago, less than an hour ago, we were at 24 on the ATR. We're now down to under 16. I think it's probably going to pick back up, though. Let's see. All right, so our entry's kind of right at what's trying to turn into a flat bottom. That's fine. Volatility's higher than what it's showing. I'm just not convinced that it's going to stay this low. So let's see if the bears can snap that up. Snap down through about 50, 550. And then we got to keep an eye on those wick lows that you know that there's might be some stops around. Maybe here, certainly beneath low of day, there's going to be quite a few stops. But again, that's making a pretty big ask out of a 14 ATR market. So if it comes to that, great. We'll take it bar by bar. All right, see if the bulls can retake the wick high here of back on our signal bar. If they can, that's enough for me to run home. All right, that channel will remain. Let's move on here. Okay, 10 seconds out here from the close of this bar, but we're right back into this channel. Luckily, it's widened out a little bit. This is still ugly as all hell. About 30, 35 points wide. You guys know how I feel about flat top, flat bottom channels, man. They're just about 50-50 in terms of which direction it's going to break and when. All right, I'll tell you what, I'll be right back after a short break. Don't go anywhere. Right back. All right, welcome back here. We are 60 seconds out from the close of this 2-minute bar. We finally got a bit of a substantial break out of that little range. Let's see if anyone can put something together here. At the low of day down here, right around 513.50-ish, 514 region. Place a sell limit, 1 tick above that previous bar's wick high. See if we can get a fill relatively quickly here in the first 30 seconds. Five seconds, see if we can get a fill. No fill, pull it. All right, we got 20 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. Let's see how we close up here. I mean, the bears seem a little hesitant to take it down through and give up this look, because you know the bulls are probably buying that little descending support. But I do think the bears want to see a test of those intraday lows down around 513, 513.50. If the bears can fall through there. Do that a short period of time. There we go. Got a fill. If that triggers a little bit more of a fearful response out of the bulls. Half decent, ATR's 15. A little trade will take better than half an ATR. All right, next bar here, 50 seconds out. There's trade number 4 on the day. And let's look for 5 here, see if we can stop hunt these lows. Low of day currently 513.50. If we can get a nice clean close near the low of this bear bar, I will look to enter to hunt those stops using a stop limit sell 1 or 2 ticks beneath the wick of the current bar. And I'll place that upon the close if it closes in a bear bar near the low of the bar. But of course, still well ahead of the low of day. Get that stop limit sell ready. Sizable wick here thus far. I'll place it. I'll place it. That's a decent close out of the bears. Give that about 20, 25 more seconds here and see. See if we can get a fill. And we did. We got a fill. I'm just going to risk. Boom, right there. Keep it tight. Just see if we can get this quick. We can get these bears falling through. A little bit of stop hunting action going. Take it through. I'm looking for about a little less than 5 points on the dump off through of quote unquote kind of free rocket fuel from the stops. Those bulls getting stopped out right beneath low of day. Let's see if the bears can take that out. That's the entire concept of this trade. If it doesn't work, I want to be out and move on. Actually, 5 points is more like. Leave that there. Okay. Now, lately, by the way, a lot of what we've been seeing is double bottoms right around low of day, right around this time of day. So contextually, I'm keeping that in mind. If the bulls end up buying right ahead of there, let's see. Let's bring this back. Just to widen things up, leave us exposed in case of news. And we can place it back there as we get closer to testing that if we get there. We never tested the low. None of those stops got triggered. Okay, that's all right. We'll get flat there and move on. Minute 10 out here from the close of this 2 minute. All right. Missed the top of the hour, so let's check in here on the chat. Took some losses on the PA, leaving that alone for now. Up 1460 on the Take Profit Trader test account using code BIG, baby, of course. Good work. All right, we're a minute 30 out here from the close of this 2 minute. I gotta tell you, that looks like the look, right? Otherwise, you could draw it like this. Yeah, I'd probably draw it flat. Or like that, maybe. Whatever you think most people are looking at, right? All right, 10 seconds. Here comes the rollover on this 2-minute bar. All right. 30 seconds out. We've got a big doji on that last 2-minute bar, following 2 consecutive bull bars. Now, how this one closes up is relatively important to me. Unless it closes like this. Son of a bitch. Closes right as a doji. Come on, market. Let's do something here. Man, if you guys haven't yet, hit like on the stream. I appreciate you doing so. All right, we're a minute 20 out. All right, 20 seconds out. Let's see, market, give us something to do or what? Let's see here. 10 seconds. Locked in, copy trader engaged. Let me go ahead and place a limit sell right there. And see if we can get fill. Right above this wick high here. No fill, 25 seconds. We'll pull it. Next bar here, 90 seconds out. All right, here we go. 20 seconds. See if the bears can do something reasonable for us. Copy trader engaged. Okay, keep an eye there. Get stop limit sell ready. I'll place it. But I'll only give it 15 seconds. That's not a 30-second setup. That's about a B setup. 5 seconds. Okay, we'll get a fill, but I'm not going to risk a lot. I'm going to risk this curl here. We'll call it 56.75, which is inside of that range. Just want to see if we can backfill some of this range. ATR 14. Half an ATR is kind of a minimum here. Beauty. Oh, limit order out, no fill. Leave that for a sec, see if we can get a fill. If we can't get a fill here, I want to pull it to leave myself exposed to the bigger move. If we happen to get news. Alright, gotta pull it. I think we missed the fill by about a tick. Leave ourselves exposed to the bigger move in case we get news. Leave that a little lopsided. Sometimes that happens, man. It's not ideal, but it happens. ATR still just under 15 here, so keeping an eye on that. There we go. A little better than half an ATR. We'll take that. ATR still falling. This here, ATR, average true range of a 2-minute bar, has fallen over 10 points since the start of the stream. It was at 24, almost 25 when we started the stream just 90 minutes ago. And it's now down to below 14. But we can work with 13.9, man. I'll take 13.9 on an ATR. Could be, 3. All right, that is trade number 6 on the day. Let's move on here. Minute 15 out. All right, 30 seconds. I'm gonna clean this up. We know that it's there, but guess what also is there? That double bottom stop hunting zone. You know, going hunting hasn't been treating us too well the last couple of days. It's been alright. It has not been as tremendous as it normally is. We've been getting a lot of buying right ahead of these double lows lately. Well, I should say these lows that then turn into double lows. Double bottoms. But those of you guys who are oftentimes buying the second test of a low, hoping it becomes a double bottom, you have been beating me this last couple of days. Normally I got you with the stop hunting. But it's been working for you. But I'm not gonna quit, man. One of these expeditions has got to pay off at some point. All right, bottom of the hour here. Let's check in with you guys in chat. Joe says the 5 minute. Yeah, I'm looking at the 5 minute. Yeah, not a lot on the 5 minute for me right now. Yes, yesterday's stop loss hunting bulls stepped in all day. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Typically, they're getting run over in that case, and this goes to the short side as well. Would you say sizing up and down negatively impacts data collection? Yeah, keep it consistent. It doesn't negatively impact it. I would say it just complicates things, which I guess, you know, negatively impacts things. All right, let's get a stop limit cell ready in case we get a nice low close here. We'll have to place it. Boom, slap that guy down. And we'll see. And we get a fill in the first 20 seconds here. We'll give it 12 more seconds. Because we did get a wick back and a close meeting at that previous bar's wick low. No fill, gotta pull it. Gotta pull it. All right, we got 30 seconds here. If these bulls could close us above 542, I'd say, all right, let's get long for a scalp. If they can't, then I'm not looking for any reason to get long, really. I'd be looking for a reason to get short, which would require this to turn into a bear bar in the next 5 seconds. Very unlikely to happen, of course. All right, here's the rollover. Next bar, 2 minutes. All right, that 5 minute is cleaning up a little bit here. We're 55 seconds out from the close. So I'll tell you what, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna switch over to the 5 minute. You are now looking at a 5 minute chart. Oh man. Oh man. It is 2 points away, 2.5 points away at the wick low. From the low of day. Ooh, I'd have to enter with a limit order rather than a stop limit, because a stop limit, the risk is a little high compared to the potential payoff. So let's see. Let's see, first of all, if we can get it closed beneath this wick low of the previous bar here in the next 5 seconds. And if we can, I'll get short with a limit sell. Nope, we're not going to. No trade, back to the 2-minute. Oops. Let's head back to the 2-minute chart and see what's going on over here. All right, you see the bulls here. All right, bulls. Get a stop limit buy, ready to go. Place it. 1 tick above the previous bar's wick high. I really want to go hunting, but this triple bottom is kind of killing the idea here for me. As we suck down this little trading range back and forth a little too close to the bottom, it doesn't really give me a big enough payoff to justify the risk. I gotta tell you, I imagine we're gonna break that at some point here. It's just with each additional test, the force in which it breaks increases, but the probability of it breaking goes down. Gotta pull that. Gotta pull that stop limit buy. All right, 65 seconds out here. Let's see what we get. It's becoming very, very interesting here. $25 seconds here. Man, I think we're in a little trading range. Again, I really think that that low is going to break here at some point. And if we get a nice clean close, I'm going to have to try it again, aren't I? Let's see. Let's see. There's the low right there. Punch it. Gotta punch it. Risk comes first. Set the risk. Yeah, I'm going to leave this down here. It's not going to go that far. I'll suck it up a little bit. Not going to go that far if it does break. Let's see if the bears can break it. That's the only idea here, by the way. Nice clean bear bar closing near the low. Inside close nonetheless, though. Let's see if we can break that low. Finally take out some stops. Come on, Bears, get some backbone here. A break of 513. And they do it. Let's go. Here's the test. Here's the test. Here's the test. There's the break. I'll just take it. I'll take it. You guys see We came down to 510, hesitated quite a bit. Could I have gotten 507? Sure. I'll take 510. 3 points on the break is what I'll look for typically anyway, unless the market's more volatile. But I imagine we're going to be met with a little bit of bulls saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, bears, you broke it. Now take us back up into the range. You can see those bulls are stepping in here now. All right, that's an all right trade. Not too bad. We finally got our stop hunting working for us a little bit. Not as much as we normally get it working for us. I mean, we've had periods of hunting stops as kind of the primary setup in a lot of ways. Maybe 3-4 months ago, it was paying big time, and you'd get big pushes, bigger pushes, I should say, through the stops. Lately, it's been anywhere from like 3 to 7 points. But all right, minute 45 out here. Next bar, let's see if this downside push continues now, and if it does, we'll hit it again. But the stop hunting mentality's gone at this point. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Minute 30 out. Update the trade count. That was trade number 7 on the day here. $55 seconds. Come on, Bears. Let's go. All right, good work, good work. What do you guys say? Let's just turn this into a big old bear trend. That'd make for a fun day. I doubt it. But if we get the setup here, gotta put it on. Even though there is, you know, let's not pretend that there's not this risk. Of course there is. But if we get the setup, there's nothing below. But we got to remember it's a range market. Can't expect this to go, you know, 70 points, at least quickly. In hindsight, will it? Yeah, maybe. All right, got a stop limit sell ready to rock. We're just scalping, though. Boom, got to place it. Oh, beautiful placement. That's a beauty. We'll give that 25 more seconds, see if we can get a fill and a bit of a push on this trade. I will only risk the signal bar, not the full curl. 15 more seconds here, see if we can get a fill. We're ready to pull the order if we don't. Bull's taking it back up inside. There's that range. This right here. This is why I don't enter with a limit on a situation like that. I want it going already in my direction. 1 more second. No fill. Pull it. No trade. Next bar. Minute 26 out. All right, baby. 60 seconds. Gotta love it. Let's see what we get here on this bar. Again, we are, for anyone new here, subscribe to the channel. I'm live every day. But we're trading a 2-minute chart. At least right now we are. That can change. We might go to a 1. We might go to a 5. Right now we're on the 2. Now I'm looking at this as a soft bear channel, but inside of a range, at least right now, as this bar changes. Now we're back. Ooh, interesting. Okay, we're a minute 25 out from the close on the 5-minute chart. When you're touching low a day like this, it's really tough to know where the channel kind of begins and ends. So for me, I kind of just got to trade continuation if it's there, but not make a huge ask. It's a shrinking bear body. I'm not even going to get the order ready. Unless we really have to. Nope, not there. Shrinking bear body. No trade for me. Next bar here, minute 57. All right, here comes the rollover on the 5-minute chart. 3 seconds. Big old wick, though. Nothing there on the 5-minute for me. So we're now 60 seconds out. You see that big wick on the 5-minute here on the 2. Looks like just a bull bar, right? So 52 seconds out here on the 2-minute chart. We'll keep our eye on the 2-minute for now. If the bulls can close this above this previous bar's wick high, all of a sudden I am looking to get long with a stop limit buy 1 or 2 ticks above the wick high of the current bar, placing it on the rollover. I know that sounds confusing. If we get the entry, just watch. You'll see what I mean. But 30 seconds out, this can change into a different entry as well to the short side if this bar falls off a cliff. So let's see here. 20 seconds. Get a stop limit sell ready to go. Slap that guy down. Not good placement out of me. There, much better. All right, we'll give that about 20 more seconds-ish, and if we don't get a fill, we'll pull it. If we do get a fill, I am only going to risk the signal bar. Nothing more, nothing less. Now again, why stop limit sell? Well, I want to go in already a tick at least in my favor when I get a fill to the short side, because if we don't see that, then the bulls are probably taking this back right into the trend, or I'm sorry, the channel, at least trying to. Which you can see they're currently trying to do. So no trade there. We'll pull that and move on. Next bar here, minute 21 out. "30 seconds. You guys know what I'm looking for. If the bulls can close this above that previous bar's wick high, all of a sudden we have something to work with. 5-minute bar currently looks like a big old doji. I'm sorry, not a doji, big old wick bar with a doji near the top. Some might call it a shooting star. All right. Stop limit buy ready. Suck that upside. Weak close. I'm going to hold off. See that inside bar? Didn't even wick above this bar. When you get a situation like this where we didn't even wick above the previous bar's wick high, and we, of course, also closed inside of the previous bar's wick high, but the wick didn't even eclipse it. Can you place a stop limit buy a tick or two above this 2 bars back wick high? Because then if you break through, it's the first test of it. Yeah, you could. That's more aggressive scalping if you're just trying to get your sample size up. In this scenario, I'm going to hold off just because this, 4 or 5 consecutive bear bars. And I'll look for a little more information. Just discretionary decision. Minute 18 out. This is giving me a little bit more information, a little bit better here. Let's see. You can scalp however aggressively, you'd like. There's a lot of ways to do this. All right, 30 seconds. Let's see here. Copy trader engaged. See if we can get a close above 503. That's what I'd like to see. Lock can change in 10 seconds. Better get it ready. That up out of the way, and then bring it back down. Ready to place. No trade, next bar, 2 minutes. All right, do we get something here? See that bigger bull bar, 2 bars back? Small shrinking bull body. If this turns into a bear bar closing beneath this previous bar's wick low, you know what that is. That's a short setup for me. Second nature at this point. Of course, they're not always going to work. It's part of the game. But 50 seconds out. Let's see if we get something. We could also get a setup to the long side here, depending on how this bar closes. Copy trader engaged. Let's see if we get a close above 503. Let's get a stop limit buy. Out and ready. Move that upside in case we get news. I don't want to get a surprise fill. Let's see if we can get a close. Yeah, we got it. I'll place it. We'll give it about 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Alright, we will. We'll get a fill. And I'm not going to risk too much. I'm not going to risk the entire curl. We're just going to suck it up because if this turns back into a kind of a descending bear channel, then this here is plenty to risk. Because by the time we take that out, I really don't need to risk the whole curl. The idea is shot in the foot. If that computer side, server side stop gets triggered anyway. Alright, so see if the bulls can just push back up, widen this range out a little bit. Obviously, we don't really have too much of testing on this bounce here to know, hey, you know, where's the top end of this range going to sit? Is it right here at my entry? Yeah, maybe, but we'll find out. About 60 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. ATR's about 16, 17. Big doji close out of that last 2-minute bar here. Let's keep an eye on this bar. Minute 50 out. We can always manage early if we get the opportunity to do so, meaning basically a close here of a 2-minute bar that would put me short. That's a sell decision, which sitting long puts me flat. But 90 seconds here. Just give this bar a little bit of time to see how we're going to close up. Of course, protective stop is tight, so I'm okay if that gets hit as well. 60 seconds left here. At this point, it's basically up to the computer side stop. But you can see that channel's getting a little bit more defined here. So we'll move on here. About 45 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. Now I've got my eye right here on this wick low. Ooh, it's right in the slot. I gotta punch it. I gotta punch it to the short side. Okay. Stop. Protective stop at least. Right there on that curl. And let's see if the bears can take out those lows once again. ATR about 16. Low currently sitting around 474-ish. See, tapping that within a couple of ticks of that low. Tapping it, bull stepping in, at least trying to. We're seeing that a lot today so far. But we've now seen those bears being able to overtake those lows. The resistance in doing so, in taking the lows, that is. Which actually is support giving out, has lessened some. So I think the bulls are a little more willing to step out of the way here. Let's see. There's the break. If the bears can push this through a little bit deeper. ATR rated 17. Those bulls stepping in, trying to buy, looking to get a little bit more out of this trade. Looking to get about, 3/4 to a whole ATR here. Little relief out of the bulls, that's okay. Minute 20 left here on this 2-minute bar. We'll keep an eye on it, take it bar by bar. And see if the bears can get a little bit better job done here. So far, at best on this trade, we've been about 15 points, 16 points in the money. That was a wick, a very, very fast wick on the break. That was those stops getting triggered, immediately got bought up. Couldn't get out there even if we wanted to. All right, kind of an inside bull close there. So next bar here, minute 53 out. If the bears can get the job done for us here. Maybe take out those lows if we sweep those. Very newly set, not a lot of stops. It's really only been a thing for maybe 3-4 minutes. Not a lot of stops down there for some free liquidity, but a sweep of that would push us pretty much better than a single ATR in the money. See if the bears can even give us a test. 50 seconds left here on this 2-minute bar. I will hover my limit take profit here. Place that, see if we can get a push through in a little fill. There we go, got the fill. Got to flatten the copy trader, and we're out. All right, decent little scalp, move on, 20 seconds out. All right, guys, I'll be back in a few minutes after just a quick break. Be back in a sec. All right, welcome back here. 30 seconds out from the close here of this 2-minute bar as we push deeper and deeper and deeper into low of day. Let's see if we get a clean entry setup here. Small, shrinking bare body. Nothing there from me on that bar. Next bar, minute 55 out. We got 60 seconds left here. $20 out. Let's see if we can get an entry here. Place a limit sell tick or two. There we go. We got a fill. I'll suck the risk back to 91. Right above that curl. And let's see if the bears can continue this little soft-ish bear channel downside. $60 seconds left here on this 2-minute. See if the bulls close it up nice and clean. Even so, I mean, you could draw this a variety of different ways. It's just kind of hard to deny. But you guys know, aggressive levels like that, I prefer to just watch the price action. You could draw multiple different ways here. And it gets complicated, which kills off the self-fulfilling prophecy mentality that it's all built on anyway. There you go. There's the little rejection. See if the bears can take this a bit deeper. ATR about 15.5, keeping that in mind. Now, for me here, I'd like to get a full ATR, which is coming into that low. So let's see if we can get that here. Coming in for the test. Never quite flashed. Let's get this ready just in case. Server side orders quicker than me, so let's get it ready just in case here. We'll place that, see if we can get a push through and a fill. Be better than an ATR. Okay, pull this back out. And get ready again. Want to stay exposed to the big news push if we see one out of nowhere. Place that, see if we can get a push and a fill. There we are. Out there. Good trade, let's move on. There's double digits on trades for the day. $55 seconds out here. All right. Well, it's been a little bit. Let's check in with you guys here. In the chat, if anyone has a question, drop it now. Keaton, Eric, Vin, what's going on, guys? Rufio, how we doing? Ooh, this is a good question. Do you ever look at order flow? On futures, not really. Now, level 2 in, if you're trading like, for example, small cap momentum stocks, the pre-market, for example, is everything. Spending 80% of the time looking at level 2, at least 75, not the chart, level 2. But with futures, the comparison I always make, by the way, is I think of order flow as kind of like market depth. So you have the level 2 and then time and sales, which is the tape. Okay, now market depth like that, and you know, the market depth and the real-time order flow. Matt, however you mean it, that's both ways, of course, we're covering. It's like if you're sailing over a coral reef in a sizable sailboat, are you going to keep a half an eye, at least, on the depth gauge? Fucking right, you're going to keep an eye on the depth gauge. But if you're sailing that same sailboat over the middle of the Pacific, off the coast of Japan, are you going to keep put as much mental capital into keeping an eye on the depth gauge as you would over a coral reef? No. And that's the difference between small cap momentum and futures. Now listen, Matt, if you're making a bunch of money trading order flow, keep looking, all you guys, if you're making a bunch of money looking at order flow, keep looking at order flow. There's a lot of ways to do this, but you asked me what I do. All right, minute 40 out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. A trade mini, do you guys recommend micro? It depends on your account size. For most account sizes at prop firms, I do encourage you guys to trade micros. You can always scale up if you get a padding, but it depends on how aggressive your business model is. There's a lot of ways to do this. And if your business model is more aggressive, meaning you are willing to churn accounts more often, then trade minis. Or a mini, or maybe 2 minis. If you're trading a 300K at Apex, maybe trade a couple of minis. If you are not trading super aggressively, where you're churning accounts every few weeks, then I think micros are the way to go, and you can just scale horizontally. Now, multiple micros, not one per account. Multiple micros per account, maybe a 50K Apex, for example. 3 to 5 micros is a good place to sit, at least for me. Daily true range is way over average. Do you count for that in your trading? Well, I account for it on a bigger time. So it's way over average in the last couple of weeks compared to the few months before that, because the few months before that, it was really tight. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's so much greater than just the average, over the course of years. But as of late, it has increased. So I account for it in my trading based on the ATR that you're looking at the bottom that says 14.87, the red flag. That gets reflected in the ATR based on the last 10 bars of whatever time frame I'm looking at. Here is a 2 minutes, the last 20 minutes. That would be my answer to that question. So I'm looking at it, yes, I account for it, but in an indirect manner. By the way, if you guys are looking to scale, man, again, scale horizontally, trade relatively small per account, not tiny. But again, hey, 3, 4, 5 micros and a 50K Apex for me is a great place to sit. You can get a little bit bigger, maybe, in a 150K Take Profit Trader Pro. But with code BIG, baby, I had to do it. Take Profit Trader is currently a really good deal. It's 40% off, and you don't pay an activation fee if you use that code when you buy the test, code BIG. And then if you're looking to just scale horizontally, get big in terms of accounts, code BIG at Apex, same code is 80% off, and you can pass the eval in 1 day, which is obviously tremendous because it cuts down on the mental capital allocation that you're putting toward evals, which once you're taking payouts, that's a big deal. You don't want to spend weeks focused on an eval. The quicker you can get it done, the better, within reason. All right, 30 seconds out here. Let's see what we get as far as a close on this 2-minute bar. Big inside close, tiny little bull body. Got to hold off. Next bar, minute 56, out. All right, let's see what we get here as far as a close out of this bar. A bigger bear body closing near the low. Beneath that previous bar's wick low would put me short using a stop limit sell, depending on the size of the bar. If it was a little bit of a bigger bar, I'd probably use a limit sell. All right, 23 seconds here. Let's see if this bar grows a bit more substantially. I will have to get a stop limit buy ready and see if we can get a decent closer out of the bulls. We will. I got to place that. Okay, we'll get a quick fill. I am going to suck this up and risk just the signal bar. Keep that pretty damn tight. Bring this back within reason. All right, ATR 14. See if we can just get a half decent little push through there after that fill. And ATR 14, a little over 14, so got to stay within reason for the ask we're making out of the market. Remember, we're scalping around here. Not looking to make some big, tremendous ask. There you go, bulls. Let's keep pushing there. Good, good, good. Keep it up. Didn't quite get there. At least half an ATR. Didn't quite see it. See if the bulls can give this a second little push. There's 7.5. I'll take that. Better than half an ATR. Beauty. All right, let's move on. 90 seconds out. All right, 35 seconds out here. Let's see what we get on this 2-minute bar. Gonna have to get a stop limit buy ready. And I will place that. We will get a fill. I'll suck this up and we will risk just... Yeah, we'll keep it to the signal bar. We'll keep it to the signal bar, see if we can get a half-decent push higher. Now, just risking the signal bar here, what does that do? Well, it lowers probability a little bit. But of course, you know, on the flip side, it improves reward to risk a little bit. Decreases average trade duration. Puts it deeper into the category of, hey, scalp, right? All right, now we've got 6 consecutive bull bars here. Let's see if this one is the lucky number 7, if we snap it up here. "48 seconds out on this 2-minute bar. All right, here comes the rollover of this 2 minutes shortly in 5 seconds. There's the rollover. Essentially a doji, very small bull body on that last bar. There you go, bulls. See if we can get a bit of a more aggressive push through than that. ATR below 13, about 12. All right, now, bulls, come on. Give us a push up through. There we go. ATR about 12.3, keeping that in mind. right, bulls. Keep that up. Let's get better than half an ATR here. There is better than half an ATR. I'll take that. 8 points. About 2/3 an ATR. All right, nice scalp. All right, guys. Well, pretty decent day today here. Clean things up in the second half. That's going to be it for the live show here today. Appreciate you guys trading along with me, man. Thanks for hanging out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. I am scalping live every single day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Use code BIG. Best deal always. Take Profit Trader. I think Take Profit Trader is best if you're trying to bootstrap going full time. The daily payouts are very nice. Apex is the best by far for trying to scale to get to bigger numbers, scaling horizontally. But when you're bootstrapping going full time, you need money in the bank account now. You got bills to pay, you got groceries, got to buy food. Whole bunch of bullshit. Life is expensive. Take Profit Trader for bootstrapping going full time. Code BIG. Best deal always. Apex, when it's time to go big, you use code BIG and also get the best deal always. All right, guys. All right, it's time for me to hit lunch. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day. Stay disciplined. Let it come to you. And when it does, fucking hit it hard. That's part of discipline. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Have a good one.